Good afternoon, everyone. Am I audible? So, very good afternoon, one and all present here with us in online and offline mode in two-day national seminar organized by Netaji Subhash College, Abhanpur, Chhattisgarh and Vitrag Research Foundation, Raipur, Chhattisgarh. The topic of the seminar is Teacher Education and Professional Development, National Policy 2020 Perspective. Here, session of the first day, I, Dr. Rupa Tiwari, organizing of this two-day national seminar. Welcome to each and everyone who are present with us online and offline. In today's second session, our guest speaker has joined with us. I would like to introduce our listeners to the speaker. Dr. Syed Akheel Ahmed, sir. Dr. Ahmed has 27 years of teaching and administrative experience at university level in India and abroad at graduation and post-graduation levels. Sir have variety of administrative experience, including Dean Faculty of Science and Technology, University of Mysore, Karnataka, Vice Chancellor, Yenepoya University, Mangalore, Karnataka, Chairperson, Board of Studies in Chemistry, Director, University Industry Interactions Center, University of Mysore, Chairman, Board of Studies in Polymer Science, Chairman, Department of Studies in Chemistry, University of Mysore, Faculty Advisor, University of Mysore between 1992 to 1993. Sir has also major academic and research positions had in the abroad. He has been visiting professor in University of Malaya, Kuala Lumpur, Research Engineer Center for Nuclear Studies in France, Associate Professor and Assistant Professor respectively in the France at 1982 to 1984, postdoctoral fellow in the University of Paris, France, between 1981 to 1982. Sir has also assigned significant international assignments. He had been appointed as an external assessor, Polymer Chemistry, University of University of Mysore, Reader Department of Chemistry, University of Mysore, and Lecture Department of University, Mysore. Sir has more than 100 publications in his academic account, 100 citations in the international journals, 226 highest citation for an individual research article published from University of Mysore, and he had been invited as a speaker and keynote speaker in more than 100 national and international seminars, workshops, and conferences. Sir has also written 3 books, had been facilitated with various awards and distinctions. मैं जिस तरीके से सर का टीवी देख रही हूँ, मुझे लगता है अगर मैं बहुत डिटेल में ये पूरा पढ़ना शुरू करूँ तो शायद आप मुझे सुनते रह जाएंगे, आप सर का उद्बोधन नहीं सुन पाएंगे, क्योंकि 37 इयर्स के एक सुंदर एकेडमिक ईयर में यात्रा में सर की अनगिनत उपलब्धियां हैं। तो मैं बहुत सादा सम्मान के साथ सर को उनके उद्बोधन के लिए आमंत्रित करती हूँ, ज्यादा समय न लेते हुए। ओवर टू यू सर।
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is a very impressive introduction Dr. Sharma has given, but nevertheless, I would like to add I have 50 years of teaching experience. longest served
I apologize for that, sir.
university faculty in the University of Mysore for 42 years, the longest in the whole of India. Well, I have more than about 130 publications with 3,500 citations. And of it, about 30 citations are from Nobel laureates. Anyhow, with a small, this one, a little of, I don't use the word correction, addition, or a value addition to my own profile. Thank you very much, Dr. Sharma, for inviting me to address this august audience. An interactive session if possible, or else I will speak first and then I can have a question answer. It depends on what exactly you are doing it. And I would like to start my talk. Yeah. Hello, once again, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Let me just try to clarify whether I'm audible.
Yes, sir, clearly.
Is my voice very clear?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Then I will proceed. The topic which has been given to me. Screen is visible or not? Is the screen visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, then shall I proceed with the lecture?
Please.
Thank you very much. I have been assigned a topic of examining challenges and opportunities for online and blended learning for the continuous professional development. Before I go much into the details about the title of the subject, I'd like to just give a little about the background as to how important these challenges have become, particularly starting from the lower KG up till the research level. If one want to just talk about the online and blended learning, we will have to go for the IT technology, which made a boom in the last quarter of the 20th century. In the last quarter of the 20th century, many new ideas came in from every corner of the every field, be it the physics, be it chemistry, be it the management, and be including the sociology or political science. Many new terminology, many new positivism came in. And in this context, you will see that India became one of the greatest IT provider to the whole world and contributing to the 15% of the total GDP. Now, this such a big contribution to the whole of the India's development and the growth of individual sector, we cannot imagine that the education sector remains isolated. In this context, I have chosen a topic examining challenges and opportunities for online and blended learning for continuous professional development. When you are talking of the challenges and opportunities for online and blended, it is nothing but we'll have to talk much about the online, and then ultimately we'll talk of the blended, where the limitations of online ends. Then you will see that the blended learning will become more active. In this context, my next slide will be online learning. Whenever we are talking about it, is nothing but the web-based learning, computer assisted instructions, internet based learning, digital learning, and virtual learning. All these come under the title of online learning. That if you are talking of an online teaching, and a very good statement that has been made by the Raju Rajan, an online class is free from economic, social difference, caste, creed, ethnicity, and other social biases, boundary, and prejudices. That means to say, we'll have a individual or a student or a teacher will have a freedom to be away from these prejudices and still either interact and go for a what you call it as in interpersonal interactions. So the next is, let me just define online education. Online education is a way of learning that takes place online instead of in person. It is also known as e-learning, distance learning, or remote learning. The best example is I'm just giving a lecture. This is nothing but an online learning. Let me see how it works. Students study online through video lectures, recorded videos, and online workshops. Students submit their work electronically. Students can learn their own pace from anywhere. This is the most important aspect wherein you will see that the geographical boundaries will not be any consideration. The best example I can quote would be that you are in Raipur, I am sitting in Mysore, and the distance is more than about 2000 kilometers, and still we are able to interact. But how this interaction will be fruitful, how much impact it will be there, what are its limitations, we will just start discussing about this from here onwards. Where it is used. Online education is used in all sections of education from elementary school to the higher education. Since your class comes and falls under the higher education, and as you are also experiencing it, I am sitting in the remote corner of a Mysore and giving a lecture, and you all people are listening, and this is one of the best things. That means to say the geographical boundaries will not be any problem to us. It's considered an effective substitute to traditional classroom education. When I'm using the word traditional classroom education, that means to say you will have a room, you will have the students sitting in the benches, and on the dais, there will be a teacher interacting with it, and naturally, blackboard is the most important aspect that we have been using it, and you will continue to use it. The worst of it you can think is that the blackboard could be replaced with a paper, and again you will be just using some of the pens which you can think of. Now let us talk about the four types of e-learning. When you are talking of the four types of e-learning, you have the D-learning, which is nothing but the distance learning. You have e-learning and the electronic learning. M learning, mobile learning. D is the blended learning. I'm extremely sorry, there is a spelling mistake. It should be DED, not DID. As you are aware of it, the people, particularly the teachers who are teaching in some remote places in various parts of the country, may be just worried about the imposition of IT culture on various their learning methods. One need not worry about it. Distance learning has been there for quite some time. For example, Open University, Indira Gandhi Open University, has been catering to the needs of various people who wants to pursue their studies from the different parts of the country and the world. It was catering to its needs through the print media. And that print media could be replaced with what you call it as an electronic media. And that's where exactly you will come across the electronic learning, wherein the training through courses takes place on special platforms. Technologies for organizing the learning process using mobile devices. Now you will see that use of the mobile has become so popular that you can sit it in any place at any time, and you can still be either you can respond to the LinkedIn, or you can respond to the Instagram, or you can respond to the WhatsApp, or you can send an email. And this type of the facility, which was not available about 25 years ago, has the tremendous impact on not only the lives of the people but also the various professional people. And now we are coming on the blended learning. Why do you require a blended learning? When you are talking of the blended learning, that means to say, despite this rapid advances, rather we can see that with the kleptomanic zest, the online learning has been imposed. I use the word within inverted commas, imposed by the various agencies, including the governments. Now we'll have certain disadvantages or limitations, and that's why you will see the blended learning is also another choice which is coming in a big way. Now let us talk about it. Why did this online learning came in? And you will see that Sander Tom, one of the great IIT technologists, he had mentioned online learning is fundamentally student-centered, or rather student-centric, due to the easy implementation of student discussion boards and peer grading systems. At this stage, I would like to see that you will see that in our prehistoric periods, or including in the, up until recently, till the 19th century, you will have what you call it as a teacher-centric type of learning. And the post-Second World War saw the slowly the shift in the paradigm, wherein you will see that it was shifting from the teacher-centric to the student-centric. But now, most of the people, including Dr. Sharma, would agree with me that now, because of this NAC committee people, will see that the experiential learning is a part of the NAC activities, and you will see that it is learners, this students-centric has been shifted, or there is a paradigm shift from the student-centric to the learner-centrics. So it is in this case, you will see that the student discussion boards and peer grading system will be there. This became very, very important, particularly the COVID times. The unexpected closure of the educational institutions as a result of the emergence of COVID-19 prompted the authorities to suggest adopting alternatives to the traditional learning methods like online learning or e-learning. And you will see that as the way in which the people have suffered, everyone are aware of it, and even the people who are there to just support the system, particularly to control the COVID, you can see the dresses and how much they might have sacrificed. And the culprit is in the second figure, and this is the coronavirus. This I'm just talking about it. This the whole of this online work was done in order to ensure that the students are not left without studying, and also to prevent the epidemic from spreading further. Now, let me see that what is e-learning. And in that conventional type of it, we had a tutorials, we had an education, and certainly there were the creativity activities and knowledge. When we are talking of a coaching was also there, but afterwards you will see that webinar came in. Seminar through the web, that is a merging of the two words, you call it as a webinar, and this is ultimately leads to what you call it as a e-learning. E-learning or online learning is an effective approach, particularly because it provides the spatial distance and does not require students to be physically present at the institution. The students also have the option to get comfort of their houses without the need to go out. And of course, I'll just go. There are the challenges and opportunities of online learning. I have also just copied one image, and that are the books written by Dite Kolbeck, an editor. And I'm sure this will give a lot of learning material for the people who are interested in online teaching. Now, let me just look, what are the challenges? There are certain challenges in incorporating the e-learning process. But despite the challenges, which indicate that the students are less likely to benefit from this type of education, e-learning is one of the best options available in such situations. And now I'll just proceed further to see that the opportunities for online learning keep increasing over the years, and some of the best online learners platforms are being created around the world. And this clearly is a message that online learning has become part and parcel of our lives, and it is inevitable to remove this online. And only the thing is, we will have to find the solutions, or we will have to improvise the system in such a way that it should be easily accessible and also understandable. So, if you continue further, the advantages of online learning. Online learning is a flexible and convenient for the students, since it can be accessed from any location, anytime and anywhere. Again, I'll give them my example. I'm presenting this PPT. You are there, you can easily access to it. And this is one of the great advantages. Or else I would have traveled all the 22,000 kilometers, then stay there and then again come, give the another PPT, and then of course discuss personally. Well, it has its own advantages, but also the flexibility that you are going to enjoy in online learning is really unimaginable. Online lectures can easily be recorded, archived, and shared for the future. For example, this is the one which I am presenting, PPT. I would request Dr. Sharma, after this is there, you can send a copy to almost all the participants so that they can just read and reread again, and to see that what best they can just take or adopt to this. It can connect students from the different backgrounds. Naturally, this is also very important. One thing is there, compared to the conventional type of the teaching, e-online learning. For example, I am just presenting to you a few points, a few ideas, or few concepts. It may not be possible that all the students would grasp immediately, but nevertheless, there is a possibility that the same one you can reuse it again and again, play it again and again, and at every stage you can try to understand, digest it, and reflect on the part. This is the greatest advantages we can think about. And now I'll be coming with the disadvantages of the online courses. Online courses may not offer the same level of interaction and support as in person courses. For example, imagine that I am there physically present, and when interacting with the students or interacting with the participants or interacting with any of the different faculty members, you will see that it would have been very easy for me to just comprehend, also to understand, see at you whether you are interested or not, or change the mode of teaching to make you comfortable. This all is absent in case of online lectures. Well, there is a risk of the technical issues that can disrupt the learning. What I mean to say is there is every possibility that immediately that something may happen, the electricity may go off, and I have to just break this until all these necessary technical issues are addressed. Online students may have limited access to the resources. And this may be a questionable, no doubt about it, but for a simple reason. But whenever we are talking about India, and there are more than about one third of the population still live in villages, and rather more than that. And in these cases, that all the villages are not fully equipped to have an access or a bandwidth or various internet connections and all. And this will create some of the problems. And that problem was faced during the time of the COVID because it was unexpected, it was forced on us. And some of the students who are in the remote places, I was there at the time in the Uttar Pradesh, and I remember how much difficult it was for the teachers to just have an interaction with the students. And sometimes the students were very much interested, but they are not able to do it because of the various technical issues. Online courses require a high level of self-motivation or opportunities for distraction. And this is very important. In the same, when if this in a conventional type of a classroom, when the student used to enter in, and afterwards the teacher enters the class and start the day giving the lectures or interacting with the students, a student who is half motivated can also be motivated by the teacher. And students who is distracted can also be brought into the to the attention because there is a person called the teacher who is going to control the whole class. But nowadays in online learning, you will see that the teacher is not the boss. Now he's only becoming a facilitator. In this case, well, we'll have to look in as to what are the other things. And at this point, I'll give a pause and ask Dr. Sharma, is it okay if I continue in this type of English language and I'll start going slow, I'll go slowly and just talk in Hindi also. Dr. Sharma? Hello? Okay.
Yes, sir.
What I am just, I just made an introductory aspect and now,
I'm very sorry for responding late. Sorry, sir. Yes, sir. You please continue. It's very understandable.
I'll just be, if you want, I can be a little more slowly and see, give a
No,
pause
no,
to
sir.
every word so
No,
that
no, sir.
everyone can
The
understand.
speed and the delivery and the English is okay to us.
Huh.
You please proceed.
Okay, right. So now the 10 key challenges of e-learning. Let me just take it. This is very, very important. So when you're talking, the first is the lack of motivation in the students. When I say that, I'll just go back to this. When I talk the word challenges of e-learning, it doesn't mean I'm just presenting the problems to the audience. I, as a teacher, I, as a facilitator, I, as a speaker, I should also try to propose certain suggestions or solutions to see how you are going to overcome these challenges. So now you will see that lack of motivation in students. This has become the big problem in every teacher who is just conducting the online classes. They are complaining is the lack of motivation in students because students are easily distracted, and if students will be very happy because if the teacher is not supervising them, so that they can be also just start losing the interest in the class. So this lack of motivation in the students have been one of the big problems. This is because, now let us look at the challenges. Lack of interpersonal touch between the students and the teacher in the online classes. When I use the word lack of interpersonal, that means in the conventional type of a classroom, which is still, it is impossible that you can replace it. That interpersonal touch is very important to interact with the students, to motivate, to inspire, and if possible, to clarify the doubts then and there only. Physical interaction between the students is also necessary for maintaining engagement. And it is the second one proposition that has led to what you call it as a blended form of classes. When you're talking of the physical interaction between the students is also necessary for maintaining engagements. And now you will see that overwhelming amount of the textual content. Now, because of many of the search engines available, the textual content is so much that means every student can easily download umpteen in one hundreds and lakhs of words per minute or per day. But the problem is he is lost in the jungle of thoughts because there is so much of the textual contents that's available to them. And this is leads to what you call it as the absence of real-time interaction. When you have a lot of this one should have a more capacity or competency to find which is the most reliable information that is needed, and that information needs to be understood and transformed into the knowledge component, and it's possible to understand and reflect and digest all these different steps in the process of interaction with the textual content will be absent in case of the online teaching. Students find it challenging to stay engaged and motivated without the interpersonal touch and physical interaction that traditional classrooms offer. So these are the lack of motivation. These are the one which I have. If at all, I'm sure that if many of the other people and most of the other review articles which I have seen it over the past couple of years, they have presented much, but I felt these are the 5 important points that it leads to what you call it as a lack of motivational students. When you're talking of a lack of motivation among the students, as I told you, it is not that we present only the problem. We are the teachers and the people who are just going to take care of all the students. They must try to find the solutions or at least suggest it to the planners to see that you can go for the rectification in the future. And now, how to do it? This is, I think I just picked up a few, this one. This is very important. Maybe that it is possible that you can do it, but there are limitations. In some of the private colleges, if they agree for it, they can do it. But in the government institutions, it may be difficult. The first one is, if you want to just say they motivate the people, the one thing which everyone has to do is to give the rewards. Even in the, when you are talking, even in the house, your mother or the parents will also be using this technique, and this is one of the oldest technique that means to give a rewards. Introduce rewards and recognition for students who actively participate in the online learning platform. That means to say, when you are just doing it, you must try to recognize their abilities. And if they are just trying to focus more on these online platforms, they use one should encourage them. And this could be done by providing them with the certificates or other awards, such as discounts on the course fees. Now we have another one survey which was made. And this survey is very important if you can just see. More than half of the K2 students use games of the specified skills or subject matter as a learning aids, and 74% of the teachers have implemented these digital games in their curriculum to engage students in more effective learning. There are a lot of contradictions on this particular point. But I am sure this is one of the novelties you can see whether is it possible, because the survey has been made and more than 50%, another is three-fourths of the teachers have implemented these digital games in their curriculum to engage the students in a more effective learning. Incorporate discussion boards and forums in the online learning platform to encourage students to interact and engage with others. This is another one. Now let me see how we are going to address. My suggestion would be to allow the students to work in small groups or teams to foster collaboration. This is one thing. Actually, in experiential learning, Dr. Sharma would agree because she has been very active in most of the NAC preparations. Experiential learning, one of these immersive learning, experiential learning is a part of the immersive learning. In this case also, you will see, you will make a small groups wherein there's not a meet teams to foster collaboration, but at the same time, the interactions. And during the interaction, there is a possibility of development of what you call it as an ideas or the creativity. This is one of the things which has been experienced, and many of the management groups agree with this particular point. Now, again, is the use visuals to make lessons more engaging. That means to say, whenever you are talking of the visuals, to make lessons more engaging refers to that you need to have some of the a little of what you can call it the photographs or any other things to make it more interesting. That means to say incorporate videos, animations and other visuals to keep the students motivated. Whenever you are just introducing the videos, animations and other visuals, one has to keep it in mind that should be aligned with what the point you are discussing. Giving a different visual and different animations will distract the student and also may possibly that it will leads to what you call it as a confusion. Another point is the offer personalized learning experiences to students. When you are talking the personalized learning experience to students, give them the free to choose the topics they are interested in and the resources that they would like to use it. For example, earlier, you used to be very, very stringent. I'm a chemistry man. I have to just talk of only chemistry. And it will see that in the fog end of this 20th century, and that is in the last decade of the 20th century, that you will see that interpersonal and inter-group research was also very much increased. That means to say, if I am chemistry, I should not stick on only to the chemistry. I can enter in various, for example, various other topics like clinical pathology and also, which I have done it already. And my interest not necessarily it remains with the chemistry. I entered into the field of physics. I also wrote the articles or research articles in the field of sociology. And my hobby happens to be the symbolism in Hinduism, which I have presented many papers. All this will develop the personality of the students. One should not restrict. So that means to say, one take-home message here is, now what we require is students is not unidimensional students. They should be multidimensional students. And for that, give them the freedom to choose the topics they are interested in and the resources that they would like to use it. Whenever you are giving a topic, what is it that you are going to assess? You are going to assess whether the topic he has chosen is relevant. And the second is whether you are talking the student, whether how he has built up the idea and how he has just proposed the content and how he has interpreted the contents and ultimately how he has concluded. Irrespective whether he's talking of chemistry or environmental science or biology or geology, it is immaterial. What that is, whether he is able to analyze in a way he wants. That means to say, you are giving a freedom to choose the topics they are interested in. The next point, if you want to talk about, is provide more opportunities for teacher-students interaction. Now you will see that in online, though there is, for example, and now, if I were to be in a classroom, I would have asked so many questions. That means I have adopted this more than about 35 or 40 years ago, asking the questions to the students and just not to provoke them, but to invoke them to see how they could answer it. And I used to tell my students, if you give a wrong answer, I will correct it. If you give a improper answer, I will refine it. This is exactly what you have to do, and this is lacking, for example, in online teaching. This is also possible. We can just make it more interactive. But for that, we require more technology and also the investment to have it more interactive. have one-on-one sessions with each student to discuss their progress and address any questions or concerns they may have. This type of the thing which I have showed in earlier one slide, I'm talking of the word tutorials. Tutorials was the already concept. These all are the not new concept. These are the concept which was there even before the invent of the IT technologies. But when you are talking of one-on-one sessions with each student to discuss their progress and address any questions, that means to say that there is an individual attention that is given to it. And that's why it is for that reason, though I call it as a corruption in the teaching fraternity, the concept of the tuitions also came in. So if we just look into the next is the lack of infrastructure. So this has been the great problem in the whole of our country. And you will see the amount of that in the budgetary allotment do not commensurate with the challenges that we have in our country. For example, in every colleges, you will see that there is a lack of adequate number of computers, adequate software, uninterrupted supply of electricity, high bandwidth internet. These are the common problems. I experienced it, particularly when I went as a chairman of many of the NAC committees, when I was accrediting the many colleges all over the India. This is the common problems which I found. And let me give the solutions or suggestions for the lack of infrastructure. Now we will have to see whether the lack of this infrastructure cannot be just simply got it unless and until one has to work and try to impress particularly the donors or the funders or the management people to invest more. This is the simple one statistics I'm giving. The total amount of education technology investment is expected to reach 400 billion by 2025. That means by now, by the end of this one, you will see $400 billion. And what does it mean? It represents a cumulative annual growth rate of 16.3%, which is unimaginable. And you will see the 2.5 times growth since 2019. That means the spurt of many of the platforms which are coming, many of the various colleges or various companies which are coming will have a lot of impact. For that, we need that such an extensive funding should improve the infrastructural problems faced by the students in e-learning. So in this case, whether the management is collecting the money from the students to give, and you will see that particularly, I always as a teacher and working in the management of many of the institutions, I used to tell them the gap between the promises and deliverables should be minimum. What all we promise the student before joining the institution and how much of these deliverables we are giving it, there should be a minimum gap, and this is exactly what you will have to take into consideration. And now we will see how you have to tap the forces. And this is an example I'm giving some of the people who are working in some of the district level or even a small townships wherein some colleges are there, not having a lack of not proper infrastructure. The governments and non-profit organizations should provide free access to the computers and the internet public libraries in the schools. Private funding organizations should establish grants and scholarship for the individual. These are my suggestions which you will have to take it. I am sure these all are the suggestions which I am giving it, which I'm giving it because of the experience which I have gained and interacting with most of the management people, teachers and the students during my more than about 3 to 4 or about 50 NAC inspection committees. Now the third one, when you are talking of the digital literacy and technical issues, this is again, the third is the more important aspect. The problem is, for example, I myself, I'm just giving a lecture on e-learning, but I'm taking the assistance of my sister-in-law to just build up everything. This lack of proficiency is there. This is the common among this, but I'm seriously advising particularly the teachers who are young and who have a long service ahead to just have built up their proficiency, because lack of proficiency will not work, because students are becoming too competent as far as the proficiency is concerned. The lack of proficiency in working with computers does not essentially translate to digital literacy. So this is exactly when you are talking of the digital literacy, these are the new words which are being coined, that each and everyone should have it, including when you are just going for a NAC committee. I'm just using again and again the NACME experiences for a simple reason. That is the best time wherein you will see that a lot of the changes that have taken place in any institution, you want to get them accredited. The digital literacy, that is what you call it, is important. Lack of understanding of the world to learn proficiently through an online system, one must understand the workings of the multiple software. And you will see that there are so many softwares which are coming in. Choosing a good software is a user-friendly software itself becoming a big challenge. And now you will see the next one is the skill gap prevents them from exploiting the digital learning environment to benefit students. This is another one important aspect whenever you are talking of the knowledge and you will have the skill. So skill and knowledge should go together, and then only it is possible that we can communicate with the students very effectively and efficiently. No explicit policies or guidelines for e-learning systems, which results in inconsistency in the digital learning environment. And we need some policies or guidelines. Unfortunately, there are no guidelines. Each and every teacher, each and every institutions are building up their own templates and they are trying to just give it. Maybe the templates may be good. They may be putting a lot of efforts to understand this. But what we need is a collective guidelines for a simple reason, like for the game of chess. You need the rules and regulations, but everyone can play with a different moves. This is exactly what is required in this online learning. No explicit policies or the guidelines in the e-learning system, which results in inconsistency in the digital learning environment. And now the next is that most of the e-learning programs do not support the mobile access, so they are restricted to non-flexible interaction with the course content. And now you will just talk of it, everyone is having a smartphones. Every student, most of them, including even in the village side, is I have a lot of information about it, including the survey also points out to this. But unfortunately, the various e-learning programs do not just give an access to the mobiles. So naturally, some of the students who are coming from an humble background, they may not be having a big screens or other systems wherein they can ask the e-learning programs. And this is the one which you will see that it should be become more compatible with the mobile access. And if these are the problems which I have just presenting it, let me try to give you some solutions and suggestions to this. Schools and universities should provide technical support staff or contact information to help troubleshoot any technical issues. This is my first suggestion which I am giving it. And the people who are there as members of the governing councils of the various private schools, or including private universities, or if it is a government university, the member of board of studies and various other like academic council or senate, they should present the case and get the things done. School and university should also provide training and support to help develop the digital literacy skills. This is again, I have been mentioning it and repeatedly I told you all short while ago. This could be in a form of webinars, tutorials, and courses that cover the topics such as online communication etiquette and student rights and responsibilities in an online learning environment. I am sure all the audience would now compliment and congratulate Dr. Sharma for having this online program also in the blended mode. There are some offline lectures also, and there are online lectures. And one of the best examples that you could do is, and the very good efforts that has been made by Dr. Sharma. Now, because of this, the blended learning models are used in both traditional and face-to-face classes. The best example is this seminar is a blended learning model because there are offline lectures and there are online lectures, both in these cases. Now, what is the problem with the online? The fourth one is the lack of in-person interaction. Let me just try to make a list of it. Humans are social animals. The growth of the internet hinged on the principle that the humans will always be curious to interact and know more about one another. This is very important. And that's why you will see that particularly in the lower classes, particularly in LKG or UKG or in the first standard or second standard, the students is given more to interact with the nature and to understand it by interaction. And because they'll be curious to know as to why the clouds are forming, why there is a rain coming, why there is a lightning. All this is an interaction that gives them the curiosity, and that curiosity is absolutely necessary to build up the ideas in the future, or including in a small. On a psychological level, virtual interaction cannot mimic that of a physical one, whatever it may be. I am just speaking to you, but the thrill and the pleasure which I get it in a classroom, I am not getting it. We are managing it. We are compromising it. In the things will make easy, but never gives you a satisfaction. This is exactly what you have to have. The physical presence inside a classroom with a teacher and fellow peers often leads to an atmosphere that cannot be replicated through virtual means. I'm sure some of the teachers who were not exposed to this IT in their studies, they will recall some of the good things, how their classmates or they themselves were mischievous, how they used to interact, sometimes to rag the teacher or rag the other students and all. That type of a pleasure, ragging, I'm using the word within inverted commas, not to cross the certain limits, but as a matter of a pleasure, that will be the good memories throughout our life. And that thing is not there in case of the online learning. The physical model also ensures discipline as the students cannot switch off webcams and doze off. So this is because I am sure Dr. Sharma would also be supervising to all of you, whether you are just keeping yourself attentive to the whole of the lectures or whether you have just gone out of the classrooms and all this because of the webcams, this is possible to just follow it up. Physical classrooms allow teachers to provide more personal attention to each student's needs. This is exactly what I have been repeatedly telling you, and right from the beginning, I have been telling physical classrooms allow teachers to provide more personal attention to each student's needs. And now there is again a counter argument now because you will have this video conferencing. In case of the video conferencing, it is possible to do it. But as I told you, when you are talking of a video conferencing, all the teachers, you require a lot of higher investments to provide these facilities to have that, what you call it as a student's interaction. Interactive e-learning modules can help improve students' engagements. That is exactly what I've been telling you. These are the modules that can improve students' engagement. That means to say, as I told you, in the beginning itself, you will have to provide some incentives, you have to provide some awards and all. And the same thing is there. Whenever you are talking of the modules, e-learning, it should be interactive to help improve students' engagements. The fourth one is of in-person interaction. All these problems, again, I'm just giving a solution. One possible solution to the lack of in-person interaction in virtual classroom is to create a smaller group of the students for virtual sessions. This would enable students to interact with one another as well as with the instructor, creating a more engaging atmosphere. This is what my suggestions are. I am sure these suggestions should be well taken for a simple reason. This has been the experience of the many people which have been making a mark of it. The instructor or a teacher could assign interactive exercise or projects for students to complete in small groups, providing them with a chance to collaborate online. That means to say nowadays in most of the engineering or many of these master classes, whenever they're having a project, that project will be nothing but a group of 4 people where they can just visit the industry or any place of where and they would like to carry out that project. And ultimately, they will be providing a chance to collaborate online so that they can just prepare, discuss, and see also present ultimately the project reports. Instructors should set up a regular virtual office hours where students can chat with them one-on-one. This is again virtual office. This is most of the suggestions which I'm giving it is are repetitive in nature, but every time you will see that any of the problems I'm facing it, directly or indirectly, some of these problems will recur again and again, and I'm sure that you will just ignore this. And if you just want to have a chat with it one-on-one, this could allow instructors to provide individual attentions to their students and help them work together in issues they might be having with their coursework. But one of the difficulties which you find it, this could be for a small classroom wherein the students are maximum 10 to 20. If there is a big classroom with a 60 student, this is not possible. Then we will have to think of an alternatives. And again, we should just go for another suggestion. Instructors should also leverage technology to its fullest, such as adding virtual reality components to their lessons. Well, these are the things, modules. I am sure how you are going to do it is everything is the individual way. And this is what I call it. There is a shift in the paradigm from the teacher-centric to the student-centric to the learner-centric. And when you talk of the learner-centric, When you are talking of the learner-centric, it means clearly that a teacher is not the boss of the class, it is only the facilitator. And actually, the student will also be learning and the teacher will also be learning, because the interaction will give the new ideas. The teacher may be knowing 10 things, but the 11th component will be coming out of the discussions, for which both the student and the teacher will be learning. That's why it is considered to be the learner-centric is a better model when compared to the student-centric model, and which is better than compared to this teacher-centric. And next one is, this could enable the student to virtually explore different environment, engage in immersive learning experiences, and interact with other students more realistically. Immersive learning, it consists of different types of learning. I'm not going to go much into the detail. Experiential learning, I'll quote, this is a part of the immersive learning, and this is the one which most of the colleges are now going to adopt it, and they have to adopt it if they are willing to go for an accreditation by the NEP. Higher education institutions have been incorporating video-based learning into their course offerings for some time now, because it has proven effective in heightened engagement and better understanding of the content among the students. Now I'll go to the next one. Lack of education technology and online learning options for a special need of the students. You know, wherever you go, we'll see, particularly there has been this one, then physically challenged and are the persons with the different abilities, you need to perform it. And this is the most forgotten one. Special need students need a more personalized and hands-on method of teaching. This online learning or included blended learning could not be sufficient, but we will have to design in a different way. And it is for that reason the teacher should be also a design thinker, because he is the one ultimately has to give the suggestion to the committees or whatever it may be to bring the changes. Though technology has improved drastically, it is still heavily dependent on the need for an expert or a teacher to be there full time to guide the student through the task. Despite we are talking of online or whatever it may be, there should be a certain amount of the surveillance of the students by the teachers, and this is exactly what we require. These problems faced by the students in online classes have caused special needs students to fall behind others in their academic pursuits. Now, again, I'll just give solutions or suggestions to this. Education technology tools need to be tailored to the needs of a special needs students, and customized learning plan should be created for each student. And this is very challenging. One differently able student will be having a different capacity and different limitations compared to the other. So it should be the student specific modules that you need to construct. Inclusive education is on the rise, with more and more educational institutions worldwide having pledged to embrace strategies to meet the diverse learning needs. When I'm talking of the inclusive education, naturally you will see that the method and terminology and nomenclatures which you are using in a different case, you need to have an inclusive education. It could be in any part from the west or the east. That's exactly what you will have to do it. Technology like screen readers, closed captions, and keyboard navigation significantly improved engagement for the students with disabilities within the online learning environment. The third one is the one which needs to be targeted, particularly the people who are interested into just fabricate the hardware of the computers and IT gadgets. They need to just look into this aspect very carefully. The plan should take into account the students' learning style, abilities, and disabilities. Now, also there are the technology should also be used to provide the students with the resources they need to succeed. For example, computer programs can be used to help the student practice reading, maths, and other skills. Exactly this type of the modules need to be channelized, need to be chosen by particularly teacher or by the instructor or the group of the teachers or the committee people to just see that you build up the modules for that. Voice recognition software can be used to help students with the fine motor skill difficulties. This is also one for the physically challenged people or people with the different abilities. There are also a variety of apps that can be used to help especially needs students with communication, organization, and more. Now, let me just take this one suggestion to the teachers. Teachers should be properly trained in the use of education technology tools and best practices for teaching the students with special needs. This will ensure that special needs students can access the same quality of education as their peers. Now, let us look into the sixth point, that is the core structure and quality. Institutions have retained their obsolete course curriculum and the structure even after shifting online. With companies such as Google and Tesla choosing to forego colleges as a prerequisite for employment, students are reconsidering college as a whole. This is the one which I am just coming, and I may again repeating it. Some of the points which I am just including it here are little repetitive, but also is not exactly repetitive. That one suggestion would also cater to the needs of many of the problems which you are encountering. Online resources such as YouTube, Google, Skillshare, Udemy, and others offer better content on these subjects for cheaper or even free. The platforms can let them pick and choose their subjects, making the learning structure highly flexible. This should cause the educational institutions to rethink their approach to teaching as a whole. Well, again, for this course structure and quality, suggestion institutions should restructure their courses to be more engaging and relevant. They should also focus on providing more practical knowledge and skill instead of relying solely on the theoretical knowledge. Institutions should also focus on creating courses that are more in line with the modern world. This would include the courses on topics such as machine learning, data science, and artificial intelligence. In the last, I will take up this again, and I'll see that this will be the one which will be the more challenges that are coming in. Institutions should also look into the creating more flexible course structure. This could include the option to take course online or in person, as well as the option to customize your own curriculum. Now you are coming into the little higher level. Generative artificial intelligence is transforming how teachers create and distribute their resources. When I'm talking of an artificial intelligence, is the computational technique. One need not worry about it. Once if you start using it, it will be more easy and it will be more facilitating to understand many of the different aspects. And also it will customize the important facets that are required in the present day era and also the needs and demands of the society. Artificial intelligence raises meaning it can assist in elevating students to the greater heights of knowledge that you will have to keep in, remember it, that you have no other choice but to adopt artificial intelligence and machine learning. As I told you, it is only the computational techniques that will help and that will help you to just manage the data mining and also the data analytics also could also be done by using AI to get the reasonable inferences for the data that you have generated. Institutions should also focus on providing the quality content. They should provide high quality audio and video content. This is exactly what you will have to go, and many of the institutions are being done. And I already experienced in many institutions, they have built up this. Institutions should also focus on providing better support for the students. This could include providing more online tutoring options as well as creating online forums and discussion groups where students can ask questions and get assistance. Well, I'm coming for the seventh point, the lack of accredited degrees from top universities. Now, why I'm just telling you this is very important, because nowadays you will see a totally different, what you call it as the branding. With the brand name, you will see that if a institution is A2 plus, you will have a different brand. A institution is B2 plus, or institution is B or B plus, they will have a different brand status. And this is exactly what is happening. Education has more to do with the branding than learning. That means to say, if it is A2 plus, students will never bother whether they are getting a good assistance and is a scope to learn more, but they will be going for the brand name. It matters more than where you studied than what you studied. This is exactly what is now becoming a problem. This also needs to be addressed by the teachers. In a market where brand is a huge factor, the online learning sphere has yet to convince the prestigious high learning institutions to offer their courses through online or distance learning modes. Because these already the branded institutions, like when you're talking of the Singapore University, when you are talking of many of the Massachusetts and including many in the top 50 or top 100, they are not much through the online. They would still prefer offline and blended mode, that too within their area. And that is because they see that the others may mimic it and maybe dilute their own curriculum or the modules which they have developed. Online courses for degrees are often not accredited, are mostly not recognized by the job market or other organizations. Through schools, have embraced the online learning systems, higher education institutions and governments have yet to recognize them as legitimate methods of obtaining a professional degree. In this case, I'll just off the line, I'm sure Dr. Sharma would delete this. I would like to share my experience. If you know the Sultanate of Oman was a country where you will see that about 60 or 70 years ago, the Indian currency was there. It was the most of the Indians or the subcontinent people which built up the nation. Now, from 2022 and 23 onwards, they have said that the Indian PhDs are not recognized. And that's why they say that those students who are already working there with an Indian, they will not get the promotions. If they want to get the promotion, they need to get the other PhD degrees from the other countries or whatever they have made a list of it. This is exactly what is happening now. When you are talking of accredited and mostly not recognized by the job market and other organizations, that means to say you produce a PhD and when you are going abroad and you'll see that your PhD is not recognized, that will be the great humiliation and also the great risk for the future. And what are the solutions for this? Government should recognize online courses and degrees as legitimate forms of education. For example, I am sure about 20 or 30 years ago, any person who was completing through distance learning method, like in open universities and all, their degrees was not equal to that of the degrees that a student has completed through the regular mode. There was a lot of discrimination that was going on. Slowly it merged, but still even today, they feel it the students who have undergone the training in the regular mode of the education is to be recognized more when compared to the distance learning education. Educational institutions should partner with the top universities to offer the accredited courses and degrees. This is what I am telling because of the problems which I told you a short while ago. And this has been there even, for example, I know because my own son who has been there in UAE University and been the business management, wherein is also getting some information from the HR, you will see that some of the Indians, when they apply, they even they'll not consider the application for the re-interview. This has been the case. And this you will have to think it seriously. And the third one, online learning platforms should be developed to ensure that the courses offered are of high quality and are recognized by the employers. This is what I have been telling. Whatever you do, you need to document it. For example, if you are just producing a PhD in our country, and you will see that if you are not having a quality research paper published in the reputed journals, then it is not considered to be a very high quality degree. Even though you have a higher PhD degree, but you will not be recognized by your future employers. And this is the one which most of the planners, most of the particularly who are in the higher echelon in the helms of affairs should consider it as to how to address these issues. Online courses should be designed to offer the same educational experience as traditional universities. Well, the eighth point which I am just coming is the abundant distractions and lack of discipline. For example, I'm just addressing the students online. I do not know how many students are not sleeping because it's afternoon after having a lunch, and maybe how are attentive. I'll not be knowing because abundant distractions will be there and lack of discipline. This is exactly online attendance has seen a drastic dip due bandwidth problems faced by the students in online classes and monotonous lectures. This is one thing. For example, if I just start giving some of the anecdotes and all, it will be too difficult for me to realize whether the students are understanding, they are enjoying that, so that I can just design second anecdote with what actually they require. This is not possible in an online lectures. Most students find learning online boring and frequently complain of lacking the motivation to make it through a class. The next one is even the teachers often complain of a lack of tools to engage the classes, leading to a loss of interest from both parties. With the lack of accountability in the online teaching method, education quality often becomes compromised. And here is the one which you are talking in quality. Whenever I'm talking of the word quality, quality is a perishable commodity. And whenever you are talking of the excellence, which even the NAC people also talk about it, if you want to chase the excellence, you are assured of equality. But if you change the equality, only the thing is there is a possibility that you are crossing the line above the mediocrity. But here you will see that the education quality, once if it is compromised, that means there is a dip in your quality, refers to that means you are compromised and you are in the mediocrity level. Coupled with the free use of laptops and mobile phones during the classes, distractions have become countless, coming at the cost of the focusing different classes. I am sure there are with a button itself while any student can switch on any other things, can just cure it. It doesn't mean during the other classrooms there will be distraction and the students will also be doing, they will be doing it. But here you will see that anything including the pornography can also come in during the time of the classes, which is really not desirable. These aspects have to take into consideration. And what are the solutions for this? Establish a clear structure for online classes with specific goals, objectives, and expectations. For example, if I just, Dr. Sharma, my time is almost up. Can I have some another 5 or 10 minutes?
Please, sir, please.
I'll just finish this. This
We do
seems to
not
be
have any
interesting.
time foundation for you.
So nice of you, Doctor. Establish a clear structure for online classes with specific goals, objectives, and expectations. That means to say, whenever there is a problem, there will always be a solution. So we will have to design it. That's why a teacher is a design thinker in the present era. And mostly when we are almost completing the first quarter of the 21st century, naturally we'll have to take this into consideration. Utilize interactive tools such as breakout rooms and whiteboards for collaborative learning sessions. Incorporate creative activities such as videos projects, online polls, and quizzes to keep students engaged. And you'll see that I've just given a survey, 96% of the students find e-learning tools through their digital platforms fun and helpful in developing the independent learning skills. I wish to just make this point to stress that 96% of the students find e-learning tools through digital platforms fun and helpful in developing independent learning skills. But only the thing is, there is need to be what you call is a moral authority on the students, that you need to design it and build up a template as to how to control, motivate, and inspire the students. Online program students also believe that such tools would bring them closer to realizing their career goals. These are some of the suggestions which I'm just making it. And now let us see this. This is the one which I was telling short while ago. Establish a strict discipline policy and enforce it to ensure that the students are not using their laptops or mobile phones for other activities during the classes. This is exactly, I have mentioned this in a very polished way, but I have just explained to you a short while ago. Encourage students to take breaks between their classes to avoid burnout, to keep them refreshed and motivated. Provide incentives such as rewards and recognition for students who complete their classes on time and are actively participating. As I've been telling you, most of my suggestions are a little repetitive. This incentives is also repetitive, but this will also suits to this particular condition. Now, I'm coming for the financial hurdles. This is the greatest block, I tell you, for almost all the institutions, whether government or private and all. Unless and until this planner or the helms of affair is a visionary, you can see that the financial hurdles will be there in almost every institution. The cost of online education can be a financial burden for some students. These hurdles arise due to the financial challenge posed by the expenses associated with online learning. Such costs may include tuition fees, course material, internet access, and technology requirements. Well, let me just give the suggestions for this. A school should offer scholarship to economically disadvantaged students. Why I'm telling you is, I'm a little bit more spiritual person, and I'll find that you will find the competency and level of intelligence in almost all class and all sections of the society, because intelligence and competency is one of the greatest gift given by God to the human beings, and God cannot be partial that it can give it to one section of the society and not to the other sections of the society. But we have created the economical barriers, and these economical barriers should not be a disadvantages to the students. That's why I said they should offer the scholarship to the economically disadvantaged students. These can never online be tuition fees. There can be cover on study materials and technology expenses. Many of the institutions and many of the philanthropy is also doing it. The philanthropy as a part of uh, the NGOs has come in a big way, particularly in the beginning of the 21st century. The school should offer students the option of paying online course fees in installments, making it more manageable for those with the limited resources. These all are these one which I have already observed in many of the institutions. These are not the new one which I am presenting it. I'm only trying to make it converge and make it in a particular order as to how to go about, rather to provide a guideline for all the teachers and the students to just see how they can just adopt and also make it more inclusive, the online learning for the future. Offer financial counseling services to help students manage their budgets, explore financial aid opportunities, and make informed decisions about their education cost. I have visited many of the institutions wherein you will see most of the teachers, they have built up a welfare fund, wherein they are going to give this particular type of fellowship or a scholarship to the poor students, and particularly for the lady students who are coming from the remote areas. I have also observed it and I have marked it in my diaries. Develop online work study opportunities, allowing students to earn income while gaining valuable experiences in the field of study. The next would be the advocate for government policies that increase funding for online education and promote affordable e-learning options. This is the one which I always mention. The anarchy which we are facing in the present day society is not due to the noise of the bad people, it is due to the silence of the good people. And you will see that in the government policies, one has to be a little vocal and try to convince them. Unless and until the common man do not raise their voice, it is not possible the government will have the policies to cater to the needs of a community or to a region or to an individual. And this is exactly what I said. Provide loaner devices and internet connectivity assistance to students without access to the necessary technology. These are some of the suggestions. The last point I am coming is the acceptance by teachers. Irrespective of whatever the type of the curriculum you do it, whatever the amount of the investments you do it, unless and until the teacher is proactive. Teacher has got the three activities that has to follow. One is the professional, for which he or she is paid. Second is the moral, and third is the nothing but the ethical aspect of it. So social, ethical, and professional aspect have to be taken by the teachers alone. Nobody can just challenge, including the Supreme Court. If I just teach it, if I can teach a student 10 points, if I teach 9 students, no, a Supreme Court can punish me. But the style of teaching will be there in such a way that the teacher can impress, imbibe some of the good qualities. And this is nothing but the teachers. And it is for that reason, teachers are kept in the highest reverence. And I'm sure, and by name you may be also knowing that I'm a Muslim, that we, when we pray 5 times a day, or more than 12 times or dozen times, we always recite one particular verse from Quran. Allahumma maghfir li wali walidayya wali ustaziya. Oh God, forgive our parents and forgive our teachers. Nobody will say that forgive my vice chancellor or forgive my registrar. This is exactly the teachers who command the respect in the society, irrespective of whatever be the religion, teachers having the reference. And it is for that reason the teachers need to be more cautious and more dedicated to the society. And in this case, I would like to quote the preamble of 1986 education policy on education, wherein the preamble was, destinies of nations are made in a classroom. The architect of this destiny maker is a teacher. This is exactly what I want. But anyhow, I remember even the things what happened in 1986, whenever our Teachers Association, there's accepted the new UGC scale, which had come with a condition that they will adopt the new type of teaching, that is multiple cost education or objective type of questions to be answered. But once we received that revised salary, we rejected that. That's why the whole of UGC brought it from the indirect way, the imposition of NET, National Eligibility Test, and at the same time, little diluting it, giving the freedom to the states to have the state level educational test in most post graduation screening method. Provide through the training for teachers to enhance their digital literacy skills for online teaching. This I have just made all this because training the trainers is one of the greatest challenges that you are facing. It's Wipro is the one who have recognized this point, and they are at this particular point. NGO teachers have an access to the reliable technology, software, and technical support to reduce technological barriers. Communicate clear expectations and guidelines for online teaching, including assessment, methods, communication, protocols, and class schedules. All this I have just mentioned it. Only the thing with the theme, training the teachers. This is very important. Unless you do not teach the students, unless you do not have inductive programs, unless you will have not refresher courses, now all this will be very much required for a teacher to just get motivated, because if the teachers go stale, I am sure the progress of the country comes to a grinding halt. And it is for that reasons I have just made these lines. Implement regular feedback mechanism to allow teachers to provide input or online teaching methods, tools, and resources. Offer opportunities for teachers to attend conferences, workshops, and webinars focused on online education. This has been my recommendation, and most of these recommendations have been there, which I used to give when I was the chairman of the NEP committee. According to the research, digital learning tools are increasingly being embraced in K-12 education. That means at the class 12 education level. And now you see this another one survey and the statistics. 65 of the teachers believe they already use digital tools in their teaching session, while 30 of the K-12 educators agree that digital learning tools fully engage students. Additionally, 18% believe that applying such technology empowers learners to take responsibility for their learning. Well, I have just put my own questions and I have tried to answer it. How do educators adopt the challenges of e-learning? I have just given this one. I request Dr. Sharma to just give this to the participants so that they will have it. What are the common technological challenges of e-learning? What are the social and emotional challenges faced by online learning in e-learning? This is nothing but feedback or question and answer session, so that it will be like a classroom which will give the questions and try to answer it. How does online education address the needs of a diverse learners? How can online education maintain students' motivation and engagement? These are the questions which I designed from my own material which I have prepared it. Well, coming for the conclusion, the current education system is changing and evolving rapidly and will soon become the norm in the education industry. The online education will make education cheaper and more widely available. The new generation of the student demands greater freedom in their education. The biggest hurdle educational technology has to overcome is replicating the charm of the in-person learning and make the experience more immersive, as technical difficulties often smooth out over time. My simple question to all the teachers who are participating or who would be the teachers, are you ready to change the way you study online? And that's why I always say that there are the three challenges for the 21st century. One is knowledge, second is globalization, and third is a change. When I'm talking of the word change, change of the mindset, change of the attitude, change in the perception. With this, I wish to conclude the Robert Frost, the four important lines. Woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promises to keep. Miles to go before I sleep, miles to go before I sleep. Thank you very much. Thank you once again, Dr. Sharma, for your institution and foundation for giving me an opportunity, for also your personal interest, for just contacting me and giving an opportunity to address this august audience. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your gesture, sir. If you allow, there is a one question from a student. May
Yeah.
I? Thank you, sir. Uh, Sir, this is the question from Pawan. How to
Yeah.
address potential challenges like digital access disparities?
You see, whenever there is a digital disparity, that's what I am trying to mention it. I have already pointed out during my lecture. The digital disparity comes because of the various facilities that are available. And for example, if you are talking to a teacher who is coming from a village background, and you are talking for a teacher who is for example, in Raipur, he will be exposed to many of these technical gadgets. This disparity will slowly disappear Unless and until, that's what I am telling you, the greatest challenge before whether the students or the teachers is the self-motivation. Once if you have the self-motivation, it is possible to overcome all these difficulties. Digital disparity is not, it will be, for example, I'll just, my own grandson, who is in the first standard, and his birthday was on 15th of November. I sent a message through email. Please remember, in UAE, in a British school, the assignments for the first standard school students is through emails. I sent an email, and the reply was, "Thank you, Dadu." Then my son asked me, "Why not you just said, 'I love you, Dadu'?" Do you know what was his answer? The answer is, emails are meant for the formal correspondence. And from the third standard, artificial intelligence and machine learning will be incorporated in their curriculum. I'll take another example. Building up the concepts, what I was telling you. This is very important. Sustainability, everyone knows that now it's a system. My son, I'm just sharing my anecdote for a simple reason to expose and how already they have gone far ahead. A country which we built means Indian continent people, 90% we built that UAE. And now that country is 50 years ahead of us. And now the first standard, when my son took them to a resort, there, for the keys, there will be electronic keys. Earlier, they used to take it back. Now they will say, for the sustainability of the planet, please drop your keys. He was about to drop the key. My son asked my grandson, "Why don't you keep it as this as a memory?" Do you know what was his answer? Sustainability is more important than memories. What I am trying to say is, first standard boy, his voice knows was his email. Now you are talking of digital disparity. Now you can see that first standard boy. And another, a couple of weeks ago, I was talking to my own grandson. He was using ChatGPT, for your information. I said, "Can you teach me?" "Yeah, you finish your dinner, come and sit with me, I will teach you." What I mean to say, like that, there are many students like that in the classrooms. This digital disparity with an individual, digital disparity with the institutions, digital disparity with the various regions, or you are coming from a village background, or for this one, this digital disparity with you are coming from affluent class or other, all will be there. So that will continue, and only thing is self-motivation is the only answer for this. Yes, any other questions?
Yes, sir. One of my fellow member has personally messaged me and he wants to know, can you please suggest us some private funding organization? In one of your slides, you have suggested that private funding organizations should establish grants and scholarships for individuals.
Yes, exactly what I am trying to say. There are many now, only the thing is the institutions have to tap. There is what you call it as social responsibility. CES is there for the industries. They will assign some of the funds. You will have to tap that sources. For every industry, they will have a CES, corporate social responsibility, CSR assets are there. You will have to tap, you will have to convince them that they are going to do this, and every industries will have to pay. That is, corporate social responsibility is a part of it, and that is accountable in the part of the income tax also. They will be responsible. For example, in your college, you tap some of the good industry people, you convince them and give them the good publicity. This is been under the project of the corporate social responsibility, and they're going to cater to their needs. Yes, madam. Any other questions?
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
First of all, thank you very much for accepting my invitation. मैं हृदय से आपका आभार व्यक्त करती हूँ again and again. I was thinking whether I should message you or not, but the way you I recalled your gestures during next peer team inspection, and then comfortably I messaged you regarding this session, and you proved your gesture again. Thank you so very much.
Thank
मैं
you.
पूरी टीम की ओर से आपका धन्यवाद ज्ञापित करती हूँ वितराग रिसर्च फाउंडेशन और नेताजी सुभाष कॉलेज अभनपुर। हम सभी आपका धन्यवाद देते हैं कि आपने अपना
नमस्कार.
बहुमूल्य समय हमें दिया। थैंक यू वेरी मच सर।
Thank you. God bless you. Thank you. Shall I disconnect now?
यस सर, थैंक यू।
Okay.